Hey guys, Tierra here with Doc Girl Fitness, and today's video is all about my New Year's resolutions for residency. Happy New Year! I know that we're about 2 or so weeks into the new year by the time you all see this video, but that does not mean it is too late to talk about New Year's resolutions because we essentially still have an entire year under our belt to put these New Year's resolutions into action. I am officially about a year and a half into residency, which means I only have a year and a half left, which is insane. I cannot believe I'm basically halfway through my residency already. Time is going by so quickly, and I'm really excited about putting these New Year's resolutions in place so I can make the most of the time that I have over the next year in my pediatrics residency. So my first resolution of the new year for residency. One little segue before we get started on my New Year's resolutions for residency for 2022. I thought I should clue you guys in on one of my New Year's resolutions for YouTube for 2022. One of my major New Year's resolutions for 2022 is to finally reach the point of having 1,000 subscribers. We are very, very close, guys. Very, very close. And I know that we can get there very quickly because if you look here, of all the people watching my videos, 95.4% of y'all are not subscribed. Come on, guys. If you subscribe and you watch some of my videos and you decide it's not for you, you can always unsubscribe at any point. But it's free, it really supports me and it supports the channel, and I would love the opportunity to continue to share with you in this journey through medicine, lifestyle, and fitness. And just think of it this way. Out of the 95% of you that aren't subscribed, you're already watching the videos. So you may as well come on and join the fam and enjoy in all the Doc Girl Fitness fun. All right, guys, thanks for listening. Now let's get back to the video. So my first resolution of the new year for residency is to make sure I'm prepared for every single residency rotation. Now, this is not to say I'm not prepared. I do pride myself on preparing very well for every rotation that I start on, but I would like to have a little bit more organization when it comes to preparing for each rotation that I plan to start. My goal is to start reading up on the material for that rotation at least 1 week prior to the rotation starting, whether that be reading some journal articles, reading some books, or going through some study materials and board style prep questions to prepare for the rotation that's to come. For example, I start pediatric ICU next month, so my hope is that over the next couple of weeks, I do some board prep questions, I refresh my memory on ventilatory settings, since I will potentially have to be monitoring those settings on a day in and day out basis while on that rotation. Just slowly but surely start putting myself in the mindset of the PICU before I start that rotation. So I'm not only prepared for myself, but that way I also feel like I'm better prepared for my patients on day one. If this is something you're also looking into doing as part of one of your New Year's resolutions for residency, but you aren't really sure how to prepare, you may want to consider reaching out to the program coordinators for your upcoming rotation and asking them how they would recommend you prepare and some of the things that you should start reading up on prior to the first day of the rotation. All right, guys, next up kind of goes in line with my first New Year's resolution for residency. My second New Year's resolution for residency is to continue to learn outside of work during each rotation for residency. Now, once again, this is kind of a given. I'm already doing this, and I have been doing this prior to setting these New Year's resolutions. I've been doing this since I started residency, but I've usually been trying to get a little bit of studying in here and there during the week, with most of my studying on current rotations during the weekends because the hours are a little bit less hectic, and during the day it's a little bit less hectic. But my goal is to be more consistent in how I am learning about these different rotations on a daily basis. If I can commit to 15 to 25 board prep questions as it relates to a certain rotation every single day, then by the end of the rotation, I will feel so much more confident. And as the rotation goes on and I'm learning more about patients, patient care, and how those specific patient situations relate to the questions that I'm learning, I truly feel that that will better enhance my learning and it will make it stick a little bit better. In addition to this, my hope is that rather than just finding a couple of journal articles here and there throughout the rotation to review, I would like to stick to at least one journal article weekly that I am reading up on and thoroughly trying to understand the specifics about how that relates to the subject material for my rotation. And hopefully through reviewing these articles, I can potentially have conversations with some attendings on my rotations about the articles I'm reading and get some better insight about how I can use the information in those journal articles to help me be a better physician to my patients. Now, I'm sure some of you may be wondering if having these New Year's resolutions means that I plan on not sleeping. That actually brings me to my next point. My third New Year's resolution is to get more sleep. Although residency can be pretty tough at times, for the most part, you should be able to get 8 to 9 hours of sleep every night, excluding those nights where you're on a 24-hour call and it's a really busy day. And to be honest with you, those shifts where you're constantly working the entire 24-hour shift are pretty few and far between, at least at my institution. At my residency program, they really have us set up well to be able to have enough days throughout the week where we go home early to be able to take care of things in a way that allows us to get a consistent amount of sleep, even if we have other days where we're staying later in the evenings. For example, if I get home at 4 p.m. 2 or 3 days out of the week, those are days where I can do a little bit more around my house or running errands. And that way, on the days where I'm getting home at 7 or 8 p.m., I don't have to worry about trying to do those and potentially staying up and not being able to get a consistent amount of sleep every night. Prior to my hip surgery, I was trying this out on a couple of rotations and it worked pretty well. So for the last 2 months of 2021, I was averaging about 7 to 8 hours of sleep every night. And so my goal and my New Year's resolution for 2022 is that I average about 8 to 9 hours of sleep every night. Now this means that I will have to go to bed earlier because I do have to wake up early for work every morning, usually between 6 and 6:30 a.m. is when I have to be at work. So I usually wake up around 5 a.m. So to accomplish this, I will have to be a little bit strict on myself about what time I go to bed. But regardless, this is a goal and I'm really excited over the coming weeks and months to see how it all ends up playing out. My next New Year's resolution for residency in 2022 is to complete my research project. I started working on a research project as of last spring, and given the time period that it takes to go through IRB approval and for data collection, the process has really started to kind of come to fruition to where I'm starting to get the data collection and I'm starting to look over trends right about now. It's a pretty big project, and my goal is to be intentional about completing this research despite how busy residency can be, and to hopefully be completed with all of it and have written everything up for this research project by the end of 2022. Now that sounds like a really long timeline to give myself to complete this research project, and I think that I could finish it a lot sooner than that, but to give myself a little bit of grace just in case things get crazy with residency between 1 month and the next, I'm giving myself a bigger timeline to ensure that it's completed within that time frame. All right, and my fifth and final New Year's resolution for 2022 for residency is to be more active in community service. I really would like to be intentional about getting more community service under my belt. It's one thing to serve our patients during our rotations, during the inpatient services, and during clinic hours, but it's another thing to, in addition to that, give your time and to give your services and to serve others in the community during different community service events, because those may be times where you catch patients who may not have seen a physician in quite some time, or it may be a time that's more convenient for them than it would have been otherwise for them to schedule a visit with me in a clinic. I truly believe that participating more and more in community service will truly enrich the rest of my experience in residency, and even more than that, the rest of my experience as a physician. I just want to continue to learn how to be the best doctor I can for my patients, and I really feel like this is another way in which I can learn how to do that. There's tons of opportunities within my community, especially in disadvantaged areas of my community, where I can learn how to get involved. So I plan on looking more into that in the coming weeks, so I can try to get tapped in with different avenues of community service and learn how I can best support those who already have those avenues of community service set in place. And that's pretty much it, guys. Those are my 5 New Year's resolutions for residency for 2022. But what about you? I'm really interested in knowing what your New Year's resolutions are for this year, and whether or not you have some generalized goals, or if you have generalized goals and those for work, or a mixture of the two. I'd love to know, so let me know in the comments section below. As always, if you liked this video, make sure to give it a big thumbs up. If you have any questions or you just want to chat, make sure to let me know in the comments section below. And if you like videos about medicine, lifestyle, and fitness, then make sure to subscribe to my channel. I'll see you next time.